Over the years, the NBA has had its fair share of wild trades. And while some are calculated risks or even genius steals, we've had plenty that didn't make any sense. Sometimes these trades get so out of hand that even the league commissioner starts playing word games, like David Stern did in 2011 after he vetoed the Chris Paul trade.
There's no superstar that gets traded in this league unless the owner says go ahead with it. And in the case of New Orleans, the representative of the owner said that's not a trade we're going to make.
But that representative was you, if I'm right.
Correct.
The trades that we'll be discussing today are deals that felt crazy in the moment and still feel crazy now. The kind of trades that NBA Twitter debates for weeks, with memes, think pieces, and even fans who start swearing off their own franchises. And obviously, we're starting with arguably the wildest trade that makes no sense: Luka Dončić for Anthony Davis. It's been months since it went down, but even now, it still doesn't feel real. We've all had time to process the Luka Dončić trade, but it still feels wild whenever it comes to mind. Luka Dončić, an all-star that's just entering his prime, got shipped off for a 32-year-old Anthony Davis and a future pick that won't even matter until 2029. When the news first broke, everyone's jaw hit the floor. And what was the logic behind it? GM Nico Harrison said they were worried about Luka's conditioning, and they believe that defense wins titles. So, instead of managing that, they decided to trade away the face of the team that just took them to the NBA Finals for an old, injury-prone player. And they did all that while also costing Dončić over $100 million.
He is no longer eligible for the Supermax. They cost him over $100 million by trading him from Dallas to LA and didn't care.
Mavs fans didn't just complain, they revolted. But maybe they shouldn't have. After all, Anthony Davis too is elite, and they just got the best prospect from the last draft, Cooper Flagg. But here's the problem. AD's track record of staying healthy is basically a running joke, and Cooper Flagg can only do so much in his rookie season. So when Nico Harrison says they're trying to win now, then the trade doesn't make any sense. Have people even stopped to imagine what could have happened if the Mavs kept Luka and they added Cooper Flagg and then add Kyrie on top? That would have been wild. But here's the part that still stings the most. The whole conditioning excuse is now out of the window. Luka Dončić is absolutely shredded now. And throughout the Euro Summer League, we've seen him put in more effort on the defensive end, so this season is going to show us either how senseless the trade was or how successful. But while we wait, our next trade is already panned out, and there's no doubt that OKC hit the jackpot in 2019.
Top two scorers on the number one team in the Western Conference came out as a result of this PG trade. And the thing is, we talked about it.
Well, you can't say it exactly like that.
Yeah, it makes the trade wilder when you put it like that. But when the Clippers first landed Paul George, fans in LA cheered. OKC quietly collected the ransom: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 unprotected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. The Clippers had their richest owner in sports, and being an underperforming team, they just decided to go all in. And when they did, it made sense. Kawhi had just won a title, and the Clippers needed a star-level co-pilot. Kawhi and Paul George were supposed to be unstoppable, but it just never happened.
Them first couple of years, it was just rough. You know, you got him still coming off the thigh injury. You got Paul George with 2 shoulder injuries in the same summer. I mean, just the thought of that, right? 2 in the same summer. What training did you do for the next season? None, right?
And so, the Dream Super Team only brought nightmares to the Clippers. So much nightmare, they're even facing being investigated by the league right now. But OKC did what good GMs do with assets. They built. Shea turned into the backbone of the franchise, a 30-point scorer and all-NBA force. Those picks converted into core pieces: Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and other young contributors who helped the Thunder become a top seed by 2024-2025. What the Clippers paid in sleep and draft capital, OKC turned into a sustainable contender. One thing this trade showed is why teams should never mortgage multiple unprotected picks for an injury-prone what-if star. But if the PG trade taught us anything about long-term value, then the 2019 Anthony Davis trade showed how mortgaging youth for one swing can win a ring. It all started when LeBron's first year in LA turned into a mess. Injuries, locker room chaos, and no playoffs. The Lakers couldn't afford to waste another year of prime LeBron, so they went all in, trading Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-rounders to New Orleans for Anthony Davis. But unlike the Clippers trade, the Lakers' LeBron and AD team was productive. AD averaged 26 and 9 in the 2020 playoffs and helped the Lakers win the title. So, basically, there's no doubt that the trade was a success. However, after the bubble, it all came crashing down. AD's health became as unpredictable as a roulette wheel, and eventually he became the topic of another blockbuster trade. Meanwhile, Ingram blossomed in New Orleans, averaging over 20 points, while Lonzo showed flashes of being a perfect two-way guard before his knees betrayed him. At the end of the day, the Lakers don't regret it because regardless of what happened later, they still got a championship. But if AD's deal proved you can win big but risk the future, the Rudy Gobert trade showed us something different. That sometimes you don't just risk the future, you blow it up completely.
Now that trade, the goddamn what team? Now remember Rudy Gobert?
Oh, that one.
Remember they sent 52 to Utah, and we don't know not nail one pick they got for it.
In 2022, the Minnesota Timberwolves were desperate. They had Karl Anthony Towns, they had Anthony Edwards blossoming into a star, but they couldn't defend a traffic cone. So the front office thought, what if we add the best rim protector in basketball? And to do that, they had to move mountains, as Minnesota sent 5 players: Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Leandro Balmero, and the rights to Walker Kessler, plus 4 first-round picks and a swap to Utah for Rudy Gobert. Yeah, that's a lot for one defensive-minded player. But the fans and NBA experts could see what the front office was trying to do.
I like the concept of, all right, we have 2 young offensive stars, and we're going to bring in Defensive Player of the Year, right? Rudy Gobert. And to a degree, when he was on the court this year, they had the equivalent of, I think, a top 5 defenses.
So maybe it wasn't a bad deal after all. I mean, Gobert did help the Timberwolves make the Western Conference Finals back-to-back, something that had never happened in the history of the franchise. But then again, here's JJ Redick on why it doesn't make that much sense.
So, you're taking a guy whose best position is a 5, and then you're asking him to play the 4, and you just paid the guy $250 million. That part of it, I was like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Regardless, giving up that many players and draft picks has boxed Minnesota into a corner for years. And only time will tell how wise or foolish it was. But the next trade here is a deal so lopsided, it still gets brought up in every worst trades in NBA history debate. Known as the Pau Gasol heist in 2008, the Memphis Grizzlies shipped their 28-year-old all-star big man to the Lakers. Gasol was putting up 18.9 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks per game, right in his prime. And what did Memphis get back? Kwame Brown, Javaris Crittenton, and a couple of first-round picks. Yeah, that was it. And look, even Phil Jackson couldn't help making a joke out of it.
When Mitch Kupchak came to you and said something like, I can get you Pau Gasol for Kwame Brown, what did you say back?
No, you can't. But
for Memphis fans, it felt like robbery in broad daylight. Kwame Brown was already infamous for being, well, Kwame Brown. Kobe had already roasted him publicly. Javaris Crittenton barely cracked 3 points a night and was out of the league in just a few years. The picks, one of them became DeMar DeRozan in 2009, which sounds nice until you remember Memphis traded him away. Meanwhile, in LA, Pau instantly became the missing piece. He slid right into Phil Jackson's triangle, complemented Kobe perfectly. He helped turn the Lakers from a fringe playoff team into a dynasty machine. The Lakers made it to 3 NBA Finals and won 2 NBA championships off of that trade. Even Greg Popovich couldn't bite his tongue, calling the trade beyond comprehension. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. It was like watching somebody swap a Rolex for a pack of gum. And so it goes. From wild overpays to outright heists, these trades prove just how unpredictable NBA front offices can be. Sometimes they make sense, and sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, NBA trades are basically gambles. Sometimes you mortgage your future and get burned. Sometimes you land Kawhi for a year and hang a banner. And sometimes you wake up from a fever dream and realize you gave away Pau Gasol for Kwame Brown. NBA trades are also a chance for front offices across the league to provide us with entertainment. And as fans, we love it, unless, of course, your team makes a bad deal. So, which trades do you think are worse than this? Has your team made any senseless trade over the years? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Oh, by the way, the Luka trade led to Dončić torching Nico Harrison on and off the court. But it wasn't Nico alone. Want to see what Luka did to his other victims? Then watch this next.